Hello everyone, welcome back to Brian's Mysteries and Adventures on Trail. I hope everyone's week is off to a good start. Today we are going up to the Pacific Northwest, more specifically the Pinchot National Forest area of the state of Washington. We are going to be talking about two separate hikers that disappeared in this same area. One disappeared in late September of 2013, the other disappeared in November of 2022. Before we begin, I'd ask if you please consider subscribing. It's free. It really helps out the channel a lot, all my efforts with SAR research and hopefully getting back into the field myself next spring. I really appreciate all your support and feedback. As always, I will have my sources and photo credits in the description. Let's take a look at the map. We are going up to Skamania County in the state of Washington. It's that red dotted line there. The first case takes us back to September 28th of 2013 when Kristopher Zitzewitz was out with his friend Caleb. They were both very well-known spelunkers. They were in the Pinchot National Forest, more specifically the Goose Lake area. They had set out from the Gifford Pinchot National Forest in Skamania County, Washington on September 28th of 2013. Both very experienced hikers. They wanted to explore the big lava beds and hopefully find some new caves. Let's take a look at some satellite maps to give you an idea of where this is. The big lava beds marked with the red dot there. They are located in the Pinchot National Forest. However, the terrain where the big lava beds is very different than the majority of the rest of the forest. Let's take a look at a picture of Kristopher. At the time, he was 31 years old, has a daughter. Both he and his friend Caleb that he was hiking with that day were from Portland, Oregon. They were very familiar with this area, loved to come out and explore the lava beds. This is another satellite map of Gifford Pinchot National Forest to show you the various terrain. Mount St. Helens up to the left, Mount Hood to the very south, Mount Adams up on the right. Let's look at various pictures from the Gifford Pinchot National Forest. Here's one from around the outside of the big lava bed area. Very beautiful. It is known as being very dense, very rugged, lots of thick brush, depending on the time of year and the season. Also how well the trails are. Sometimes there's a lot of downed trees. This is a picture of Goose Lake. I wanted to show you these pictures first so that you could compare them to the area of the big lava beds, which is the area that these two young men were exploring that day. These areas are known to be very treacherous. There's a lot of ground fissures. There's a lot of razor sharp rocks. These are pictures from the big lava bed areas in which the gentlemen were hiking that day. As you can see, it's very rugged. They were looking for new caves. It's always a possibility to find new caves. It can be very difficult as well as dangerous, sometimes requiring you to go into these deep crevasses such as this one right here. Definitely have to have spelunking experience and knowledge. This is what these gentlemen were looking for. To find a new cave and be able to explore it would be like the coup de grace for any spelunker. Sometime that day after lunch at roughly 2 p.m., the pair got separated. It's not known exactly how this happened, but if you look at the terrain, it's possible that they were each just exploring an individual crevasse or what they thought might be a new cave opening. We don't know what Kristopher did, but we know that Caleb became very concerned after not being able to find Kristopher, searching for him for a couple of hours. After backtracking throughout their trail as well as back to the car, still not finding Kristopher, this is when panic really set in. It was then that he contacted the Skamania County Sheriff's Office. Detective Jeremy Schultz was in charge at the time. He headed up the investigation. They initially went out to the Gifford Pinchot National Forest, the area where the gentleman had been hiking, did an initial search. Detective Schultz knew he was in for a big challenge. He is quoted in saying that these lava beds, being as large as they are and spanning as far as they do, finding him is going to be like finding a needle in a haystack. They brought in their search and rescue counterparts, the Silver Star Search and Rescue Team, which are all highly trained volunteers. The first week, they had dozens of men and women out looking for Kristopher. They were fastidiously combing through the very, very tough terrain, very razor-sharp rock beds. The weather got really bad, pouring rain, very cold. These are some pictures from the initial search. They were hopeful that they would find some kind of evidence. On the other hand, they didn't even know where to really start aside from where Caleb had last seen Kristopher. At that point, Kristopher could have traveled miles from the initial area. They just had no idea. At the time, after not finding any clues and not finding Kristopher, after over 7 days of searching, they believed that he most likely had passed away somewhere in the big lava bed area. The men and women of the Silver Star Search and Rescue say that even to date, it was one of the most treacherous, memorable searches that they have done because it just kept getting colder, more rain. The rock areas are just so sharp and rugged. As you can see in this picture, one false step, even just a couple of feet, you could really injure yourself. These are some pictures just to give you an idea of scale, once again to show you how difficult these search and rescue operations can be. I'm zooming into the actual people on trail from an outside view as if you might see it from a helicopter. This is if you were on the forest floor looking up of the canopy of trees. Obviously, we do have modern technology. There's thermal imaging, things that we can see. Still very difficult. Here's some more pictures. As you can see, this hiker, even though he's on trail, he blends in very well with the surroundings. These are all pictures of hikers in and on these trails in this actual area. This next picture is a woman hiker just standing on the trail, but as you can see, the trees, everything around her just dwarfs her. Now you can imagine if you were flying in a helicopter over, or even on a ground team, trying to find one individual, it's very difficult. They were using all available resources, including ground teams, various different types of dog teams, search dogs, canine units. They had four-wheel drive vehicles as well as ATVs. They even were able to get a Coast Guard helicopter that came out and helped with the search. The search efforts were often being called off due to serious weather that had moved into the area, serious winter storms that included rain, sleet, and snow. They were also simultaneously looking for another missing hiker, a young woman by the name of Allie Wilson, who was hiking the Pacific Crest Trail. She was 23 years old at the time, had become lost somewhere in the Mount Adams area. They were doing sort of a dual search for both of these young people. Allie had missed her next rendezvous, which was this particular campground. Her father became very concerned because of this massive winter storm that was moving through the area. Thankfully, after a week of searching, Allie was found in the Mount Adams area. She had hunkered down and come through this winter storm, which is absolutely awesome. I'll have a link to that story in the description if you're interested. Unfortunately, Kristopher was never found. Despite all their efforts and man-hours, there was never even a clue found to where Kristopher may have been. They had to ultimately call off the search after a couple of weeks. His family, of course, was devastated. Everyone that knew and loved him, they just couldn't believe it. It was like he had just vanished into thin air. No one ever heard from him again. Around 9 years later, another hiker, a man by the name of John Hopkins, he was 69 years old at the time, from Seattle. He had come to the Gifford Pinchot National Forest to hike. John set out for his hike on October 26th of 2022. He had set out in the McClellan Meadows area, which is roughly an hour away from where Kristopher went missing. There is a big parking lot there. He had just set out for a day hike on one of the trails that are very well groomed and maintained in that area. This is a picture of John. John was a very skilled outdoorsman, a very avid hiker. It was unclear about how long he had planned to be out hiking in this area. He had brought a good amount of gear with him. Unlike Kristopher, some amount of time went by before people actually reported him missing. It was roughly a week and a half. He was officially reported missing in the beginning of November of 2022. Like Kristopher, John had been reported missing to the Skamania County Sheriff's Office. Right after receiving the call, they dispatched their officers to the area which they thought John was in. They found his rental car on the first day, which was found in the McClellan Meadows Sno parking lot. This is a picture of that parking lot and the area surrounding it. Unfortunately, after searching this area and the surrounding areas, the various trails, no sign of John was found. They searched through his vehicle. They could tell that he had planned to be out for some time. They found a lot of outdoor gear. They ran into the same problem. More snow came in. This is a picture of that area under some fresh new snow. Like Kristopher, it was like he just vanished into the snow and moonlight. This next part is a little unclear as to who actually found the evidence. One report says that in 2023, hunters found belongings believed to be that of Hopkins about 1.5 miles northeast of where his car was found. Another report says the same thing. They were found in that same area 1.5 miles northeast from the parking lot. This report says that they were found by a search effort put on by the Skamania County Sheriff's Office. This is a picture of that area where the items were found. I do know that the Skamania County Sheriff's Office have been doggedly pursuing both of these cases. In August of this year, 2024, they initiated another search where they brought out the Silver Star Search and Rescue Team as well. They, at this time, successfully recovered a set of human remains. The remains were then sent for DNA analysis. When those lab results came back, they did match, and they were, in fact, the remains of John Hopkins. Of course, this meant that his family could start the closure process. It's never easy. They still don't know what exactly happened to John when he passed away, if it was a medical incident or a fall of some kind. Unfortunately, they probably will never know, but at least they can put him to rest, start to heal, and move on. Unbelievably, on August 10th of this year, 2024, just days before this event, a hiker hiking in the Big Lava Bend, which is in the Gifford Pinchot National Forest, he came upon a human skull. The hiker thankfully had a GPS device. He marked the location. He then contacted the sheriff's office. The very next day, a deputy was sent out for a recovery effort, but unfortunately, they were unable to find it. Thankfully, the hiker was very experienced and kind. They volunteered to go back out with the deputy and help them locate the remains, which they did on August 15th, 2024. The skull and other remains were taken to the Clark County Medical Examiner's office, where they were positively identified of that of Kristopher Zitzewitz. Remarkably, even though these two hikers disappeared almost 10 years apart, they were found within a couple days of each other during the same month of the same year. It's always a tragedy for the families to find out their loved ones have passed, but after a certain amount of time, that's generally what they think happened. It's the not knowing that really makes it so difficult. So now these families can start to move on, start to heal. During that same month, another set of human remains were found not too far away from these in the Gifford Pinchot National Forest. Those remains have not been identified. They're still being researched. They are still looking for more clues, trying to identify who that might be. The Skamania County Sheriff's Office was pleased to be able to help these families start to get some closure. They do say, however, that there are still dozens of cases of missing people that are still unsolved out in that area. I want to dedicate this video to both Kristopher Zitzewitz and John Hopkins, their family, their friends, all their loved ones, as well as all the search and rescue members, the Skamania County Sheriff's Office, the hiker that assisted them, all the volunteers, and everyone who worked so hard to bring these men home. I also hope and pray that the third set of remains that were found will be identified so that their family can begin healing as well. Thank you so much for watching. Thank you for all your support, your comments, your feedback. You know, I love hearing from you, so definitely drop me a comment if you can. Special thank you to co.ag for providing the background music. Hopefully, I'll see you all in the next one. Take care. Hey everyone, thanks for sticking with me to the end. I want to say thank you for all your patience with me getting this video uploaded. I know I've been talking about it in past videos. I started researching it the minute I found out about it back in August. Then, as you know, everything happened. I got sick, then everything with my dad. In any event, thank you so much. Definitely leave me a comment. Let me know your thoughts, your feedback. If you have any video or case suggestions, you can leave me a comment or email me for those. I am almost a month behind on the emails. I am very sorry about that. I'm working to get caught up on those. If you want to be entered into the Holiday Advent Calendar giveaway, all you need to do is leave me a comment saying you want to be entered with some feedback on this video or any other one. To be clear, even if I don't respond to your comment, you will be entered into the contest. I'll be doing that drawing sometime probably at the end of next week. All right, everybody. Thanks again for watching and all your support. See you in the next one.